Hey guys, so I am feeling led to do another video. This one is actually going to be my testimony. It's been a long time coming, but I feel like today is the right day for it. So we're going to start, mine's kind of like a two-parter. It's kind of like yeah, it's a two-parter. So we'll start with like how I grew up. So basically I grew up knowing about Jesus and about like what he did for me, and you know, I went to church and I went to like Awanas camps and stuff like that. I grew up around God, like around the influence of God in church and things like that. So my mom and my dad got a divorce when I was about 5 or 6 years old. So I grew up in a divorced family. My mom had gotten engaged to another guy, and we ended up moving to Florida because I actually am from Wisconsin, for those of you that don't know that. I am from Wisconsin. I grew up there until we moved to Florida, and we moved to Florida probably when I was about 7 or 8, I think. But anyways, so I grew up around Jesus my whole life. Not around him, but knowing like about him. So it was kind of like a hearsay relationship. Like I heard about Jesus and my grandma told me about him, and I even wrote a letter like when I was younger to Jesus because like I thought I understood everything. And of course we all know that we grow up and we don't understand everything. So anyway, so I grew up in that kind of environment, and we moved to Florida, and we kind of had stopped going to church and stuff, and really we didn't really have that structure of like going to church and stuff every day, because the guy that my mom was with, he wasn't really following after God. So we really didn't have that like male figure in the house to lead our house. So we ended up moving back because things didn't work out with them. But something really cool happened with like us going to Florida. Is like my mom had met a guy who became like one of her really good friends, and like we hung out with him and stuff, and I think he had a son, I can't remember. But anyway, this guy ended up being a detective, and he actually ended up leading us to my grandma, which is my grandpa's oh gosh, I'm sorry, my grandpa's mom. So he was adopted when he was younger, and she had given up her kids, and my grandpa had never met his mom. Well, through this investigator, he actually found my grandpa's mom, and my grandpa got to see his mom before she passed away, and also through that he ended up meeting his sister. So like God moved in that situation like you would not believe. I mean, it's just crazy, but that's like a whole nother story. So anyways, so we come back from Florida, and my mom ended up meeting another guy. After that relationship kind of ended, I think it was like a couple years later, she ended up meeting someone else, and we ended up moving to Indiana. And so when we moved to Indiana, of course I was the new girl at school. You know, like I still believed in God, but like I can't say that I've ever really followed God until this point in my life. So like I had a fake sense of I was a Christian, but I wasn't following God. I didn't really care what God had to say about things. Like I just kind of took the Bible as like it's like kind of like a take it or leave it type of situation. So it wasn't until we moved to Indiana and everything, and I remember like throughout my childhood, again, like when I was in high school and middle school, I was just kind of in the crowd. Like I didn't really stand for Jesus. I didn't have a relationship with God. Like I didn't read my Bible. Every now and then I might like open it or something, or like read the Jesus is Calling, or like something would convict me and like make me like read the Bible. So in high school I kind of lost my way. I just like I had really bad self-esteem, and I was really like not comfortable with myself, and I thought that like the only way that I was valuable to anybody was through sex. And like I of course I was bigger chested, and I still am, but I definitely like would wear like low cut shirts and like really show my body off. And I ended up entering into, well, the first guy I had lost my virginity to was like the beginning of our freshman year, going into our freshman year. And we met up and ended up, you know, I ended up giving my virginity away in the woods, and it was just not special at all. Like, it was just kind of like I liked him, I was infatuated with him. I thought that was like how I got him to like me, because like we did a lot of chasing, and like I did a lot of chasing after him and stuff, and like he knew I liked him, so like he kind of used that as an advantage. But yeah, I had no respect for myself, basically. The sexual impurity was definitely there. When I think about it now, it makes me sick, because it's like, ugh, I don't know. Anyway, so after that, I ended up, you know, we ended up not talking anymore after that, of course. That's how it happens. And we like kind of talked here and there, but it wasn't anything like a relationship or anything that came out of that. So I kind of just gave myself away to somebody that really didn't truly care about me and love me in the way that God wants somebody to love me. So I ended up getting into like a friends with benefits type of situation with this guy. He was a little bit older than me, and he would basically just like call me up. Baby? And yeah, baby. He would just basically call me up like whenever he wanted to. Baby? And I had such low self-esteem, and I thought I was so cool because this guy liked me, and I would just, you know, hang out with him and do the friends with benefits type of stuff. So thank God I did not end up pregnant. I did not, I'm just thanking God so much for his provision through that time, that lostness that I was in, because there's so much that could have happened that I just, gosh, my life could be so much different right now. Anyways, so I ended up, he ended up actually graduating. So like this went on for about a year, maybe two, I can't remember. I think it was more of like a year that we like were friends with benefits type of thing. And yeah, I talked to a lot of guys. I was a flirt. Like, I really had no respect for myself at all. So I decided that something had to change after this guy. I fell in love with him, but I think it was more of like infatuation, because I didn't really know what love was. So when we fell out of like that time together or whatever, I decided that I was going to be pure. And I decided, again, so like there was no relationship there with God. It was more of like well, I'm not going to have sex anymore, I'm going to be pure. So I wore a purity ring. And I remember there were people at school like making fun of me because I wore a purity ring, and because I was, you know, trying to be pure and not have sex anymore. And they're like, well, you already had sex, you can't grow your virginity back. Like, I just got a bunch of like really cruel stuff. So that kind of happened. And then like I also had made a decision that like I wasn't going to be like drinking and stuff at parties and things like that. So I just decided to go like on the straight and narrow. So my sophomore year, I ended up getting in like this really deep depression. And like I remember I would go into my room almost every time after school and just like listen to sad music and cry and just be really, really depressed. And I was just like not a happy child. Like, I was happy when I was around people. Like I would kind of just try to keep myself busy, and I was just really trying to find my identity in high school. Like, my mom had no idea what was going on. Like, she didn't know I was up in my room crying half the time. She had no idea that how depressed I was or anything. And I just remember I was just like really depressed. And I ended up talking to this other guy and him and my other friend ended up like getting together or whatever, and then that friend and another girl that like wanted to beat me up all the time. Like, I was an angry child, so like I didn't get in like fights or anything, but like I didn't back down. Like, I hung out with the group that we were all like, oh, you hit me, I'm gonna hit you back, like type of thing. And I just, like I said, I was just trying to find my identity, and I was not a very nice person. Like, there was a lot of drama that my friends and I had. There was a lot of gossip, there was a lot of girl drama. It was just like, and I think that chalks up to not only like spiritual stuff and like, you know, being imperfect, but I also think that like it's finding your identity, trying to find your identity, and high school's hard. Like, let me just put that out there. Like, high school is so hard. And so after all of this, I would like go to my friend's house, and like I'm having like flashbacks come back. So like I would go to my friend's house, and we would drink on school nights and get really drunk, and we smoked cigarettes, and we smoked weed, and we did like all the stuff that, you know, teenagers usually do. And I just remember, like, I never felt like joy, happiness. Like, I literally was just like going from one thing to the next, just always trying to fill that void in me. And like I knew that like that God-shaped hole could not be filled, but like I didn't want anything to do with God. Like, I was like, I don't want to follow the Bible. The Bible says I can't have sex before marriage. Like, that's stupid. Like, I don't want to do that. And I just had such a hardened heart towards everything in the Bible, and like everything that it says like in the Bible towards God, or that God says for us. And obviously now I realize it was for my own good, but looking back at my life, it's just kind of like I could have saved myself so much hurt by just obeying God and just listening to him, and just having a relationship with him and being filled with his love and nobody else's. But anyway, I'm getting off track here. So buddy, can you go over there? Mommy's doing a video. Can you go over there, please? Love you. So anyway, so all that happened. So I actually ended up getting so depressed that I ended up trying to commit suicide. And like, to be honest with you, like, I feel like part of me did want to die, but then there was another part of me that was like, I don't want to die. So like the part of me that was like, yeah, kill yourself, like I just kept hearing this voice in my head, and it was just kind of like keep taking pill after pill. I had angry rock music playing. I was like, yep, I'm gonna die, like this is exactly what I want. And then there was another voice that was just like, I don't want to die, like I don't want to die, and I need to call my mom. So I called my mom. I had popped pills. Also, I forgot to mention, the girl that was my friend, she teamed up with this girl, and they were kind of bullying me, like cyberbullying me on Facebook, or was it MySpace at the time? I can't remember. It was some social media website. And they were like slut shaming me and calling me a slut and like all this stuff, which, like, to be honest with you, like, I didn't feel like I was a slut. I just feel like I was a really lost girl who just didn't have respect for myself, and like I was trying to find love, and I was trying to find that perfect relationship that was gonna, you know, fill my void. And honestly, like, obviously I never found it, because Jesus is the only thing that can fill that void. So anyway, so we ended up I ended up going to the hospital after I had tried to commit suicide because of the intense bullying, and I just felt like all this awful stuff about myself, like, you're a slut, nobody's ever gonna love you, like, and obviously I know that that was the lies of the enemy. It's really weird, because I feel like the devil has been affecting me my whole life, like, especially if I would like start to try and get close to God. Like, I would be in church, and like I would get these evil thoughts that were like, you know, you don't really believe this stuff, what are you doing here? I would get like all these evil thoughts, and it was like, why am I like this? And I remember that from a very young age. And I remember one time my mom and I, we got into a fight, really bad fight, and I went over to like this area that like it has like a it's like a canal type thing, but it had like a sewer thing over it. And okay guys, hold on one second, my child is throwing rocks at my other child, so I have to take a break.